Hello, Chef Jim here, and today I want to walk around and show you our winter garden a little bit. So it's a nice, clear, crisp, late January day. Behind me over my shoulder you can see that's our where our row crops go. Right now there's some onions in there. But this yard, we've been in this yard for 2 years now, and we had a pretty established garden at our previous house in another part of Alexander Valley. So we know what the weather patterns are like, and we have good exposure for this yard. One of the first things we did when we moved here is we built a little raised bed so we could have some tomatoes that first year. But we also took out a 120-foot tall ponderosa pine that was in the backyard, and cast a lot of shade on everything and was constantly shedding these awful needles. So we got rid of that, and it really opened up the backyard a lot. We had a dead apple tree, so we trimmed that apple tree out and took it down, and it's gone. And then we kind of took stock of what was in the yard here already. There's a rose here that we have yet to see bloom still after 2 years. And then we have a very pretty Japanese honeysuckle along the fence, kind of again, well, just right over here. So I'll take you around the yard and show you what's going on now. Of course, it looks much different in the summer, but we do have some fun stuff going. So let's walk around. All right, so just as a kind of overview, right there in front of that lettuce, that's where I was just sitting to say hello. And see, over my shoulder there's my big plot that's directly in the ground. And where I am, let's flip this around real quick so you can see. This is our back patio, and that leads directly into the house, and the kitchen's there. So right here we can start, and this is a number of different edible lettuces, including arugula. There was some tatsoi in there. It's pretty much gone. There's some oregano or some marjoram back in there. And we go through here and we'll clip a lot of these leaves and add them to the salad. So this was here when we got here. It's a little azalea, and we have yet to see this one bloom, but we've been nursing them back and they're looking good. So all along this fence here, usually what we have are these big red tulip flowers that the birds just love. These are very large vines that overgrow and create a large sheltered area that the birds go in and out of. And that's why we have the bird bath here, so that they can go back and forth and they feel comfortable. We see a lot of birds. So here we have, down here, some nasturtiums. And these are edible. And these, you'll notice, they pretty much go all the way down this side of the yard. And in the spring, they're spectacular. So this is our kaffir lime. And it's, we move it around. That's why we keep it in a pot, because it doesn't like it when it's really cold. If we think it's going to get really cold, like in the 20s, we'll move it underneath the patio to protect it. But the thing about this, really, there's focus, is the leaves. The leaves are very aromatic, and the leaves are what we use in Southeast Asian cooking, not the fruit. There's no fruit on this one right now, but the fruit is dark green and it's very bumpy, and it has a very thick flesh to it. There's really not any juice in it. So in the spring, again, this is mint, and the mint has died back somewhat now, but it will come back as soon as the sun comes back. And we have a number of different edible flowers in here that will come back in the spring. So some of these are climbings, and some of them make bushes. And some of them are blooming when the weather's nice. And in here, interspersed, we have a couple different varieties of strawberries. These strawberries we rescued from the Rodney Strong garden when they were tearing out stuff We dug them out and brought them here, and they're living their lives here now. This is our compost. So all of our kitchen waste goes in here, as well as all of our yard waste goes in here. If we turn right around, this is my raised bed that has been built and expanded upon over the years. So this back box right here, it covers the stump of that large pine tree that we had taken out. So I built the box around that stump and filled it in. I have wire mesh underneath of everything. You can see it coming up at the bottom. That keeps out the rodents and the moles and the things that like to dig up from underneath. And even though this section you don't see it on the outside, this section has it as well. I've just done it, I pinned it on the inside of this one. I added this one on this section after I did this one. So the greens we're looking at here is, again, we have a variety of greens. I have broccoli rabe in here. There's some arugula in here. You can see, there it is. There's a little tot soy in there. So there's a variety. Whatever the birds didn't get, see, there's a nice chicory. Whatever the birds didn't get is what's there. And then on the other side is I planted some more broccoli, and I've covered it with bird netting this time. So I'm going to let this one grow a little bit more. And interspersed with that is fava. And the fava is there to help the soil. And then in this one, this is all what they call green manure. And it's a mixture of peas and fava beans and purple vetch and clover. And so I'll let all this grow throughout the winter. I might let a few of the favas grow and we'll get some fava beans from it, but generally speaking, it'll be cut down before all that and then worked into the soil. And it's really good for the soil. So this is kind of our nature area back here, and we like to feed the birds and attract the birds, and there are a ton of birds here. We're in the process, we're going to have this fence redone this February, so it'll look a little better, but it gives us a nice view into the nature area behind the house, and we have some regular visitors in the form of deer. I've got a few ways to keep them out of the yard. Our first year they were a problem getting in the yard. They're no longer a problem. We fixed that. Oh look, I've just noticed this. We have some onions popping up here. We'll see. So this is where we had a cucumber plant, and our zucchini plant was here in the summer. So this little raised bed, right now we have some winter crops in it, and we have, as you can see, my cabbage. This is a leaf type of cabbage, and it bolted, and I'm not sure why it bolted. Something changed in the weather, something changed that it didn't like. This one bolted, and there's another one that bolted. And bolting is when the stem grows really tall and thick in the middle. The plant chemistry changes and it goes into a flower mode, and it's really not good to eat after it does that. So we always try to prevent that. However, you know, we're always learning as gardeners. And then these are what they call green acre or gold acre. This is regular head cabbage, and I have a couple of those. And then on this end I have the spinach. And again, the bird netting, because if I don't, the birds will absolutely just strip the spinach. They love it. So we give them food in other places, but I have to have my spinach. I like that. It's a Bloomsdale, it's the variety. So we come over here, and this is where I have my onions. And on the right are the yellow onions, and on the left are the red onions. And in the middle is that one lonely leek that I I sprouted and grew from the bottom of a leek. So I used the leek and I saved the bottom of it and I put it in water and it sprouted and it regrew and I replanted it and it's looking great. So they can be redone. So this area again is overplanted with the green manure. We're still in the process of rehabilitating this yard, so it's very gravelly, if you can see, and we're working on that a little bit at a time, but we're rehabbing again this area. We pulled a lot of weeds and stuff out of here and trying to break up the soil with the plants and put some nutrients back in the soil. But the birds love it. I did have this one covered, but I don't any longer. So in this corner, we have this cypress, and this entire corner was covered with this giant cypress, and I took about 6 months and dug into it, and I've trimmed it way back. Again, this fence is going to be replaced with a very similar fence, but just a newer one. But it really opened up the yard, opening up that corner, and this is another area where we have given over to the birds, and they love it. They can get up in this tree and hide and feel sheltered, and you can see them, they're all running around now. We put different kinds of bird seed in there to attract different birds. Just on the other side of this fence, we have this bramble, and the birds feel sheltered in there too. So we have a really good bird habitat here to attract a lot of different birds. So this is, first off, my rose that has never bloomed. The first year we were here, the deer were getting in here, and the deer kept eating it. So we finally fixed the deer problem, and now we're waiting for it to bloom this spring. And then this is my avocado. So this avocado was given to me by a student, and it was like 2 feet tall. I put it in my car, I brought it home, I nursed it. I actually got it before we moved, and then I planted it here. This is a bacon avocado, and it is specifically genetically engineered for this area. It's very tolerant of the weather in this area. So we're hoping that this will be its first year that we get fruit from it. I think it's 3 years old now. So we have the bird habitat. We come around, and then we have this ancient rosemary bush that's just beautiful, and it is quite delicious. It's just getting to the point where it's putting out these really pretty purple flowers, and it's going to start its little growth spurt here. And that growth, that brand new spring growth of the rosemary is very tender and fragrant. It just is so good. And then this plant, this honeysuckle, was here when we got here. And we had a honeysuckle at the other house. It's a really beautiful plant. And if you keep it trimmed, it doesn't get out of control. And I'm going to get out here in probably a few weeks and trim this one back a little bit, but it's already starting its spring growth. This one is very fragrant. The whole yard smells like honeysuckle when it's in bloom. And then we put in the lavender. There's 4 different types of lavender here. Out of, I think there's 6 plants. It's kind of hard to distinguish, but we have lavender, the aloe, and some other succulents in here. Again, this area was it was a mess when we got here, so we've rehabbed it out. And then this little lump right here, that's where the apple tree was, that was all diseased and looked terrible. So we move over here, and this is a spineless blackberry. And this plant is even less than a year old. I think we put this plant in last March. So it's doing pretty good, and it's on, believe it or not, its 2nd round of producing fruit. So let's go up here and look at this. So, I mean, this is January, and I already picked one that turned black last week. So it's got a 2nd round of fruit, this one. It's a good plant. And then this, it looks like corn, but it's not. This is, I'm sorry, the name is escaping me right now, but it looks like corn when it's growing, but it's seed, and the birds love it. And this is a seed that comes when you buy bird seed. It's in there. I'm sorry, I'll have to put the name up as a text when I remember it. And this is not sage, but that's not lemon balm, but lime balm, which is an interesting, it's good for herbal teas. And then we had the raised box here, and I pulled it out this year because I'm moving it. Now that I know what the light patterns are here, we're rearranging some things. And then this little creature, this is an Australian finger lime, and it's a very interesting plant. It's very spiny. It has these spikes, but it grows these little, I don't know if you can see it or not, these little fruit. I need to pull that one off, but they're little smaller than your pinky, and they're oblong shaped, and they have like, it's almost like a citrus caviar inside, and chefs love it. So here are a lot of my summertime herbs, and that is marjoram or oregano back there, lemongrass. The strawberries are all kind of back, and as you can see, my parsley, it loves this weather. The parsley is very happy with this weather. Back here we have some more strawberries, and that's lemon balm. We saw lime balm a moment ago. This is lemon balm. A couple new sage plants. This is a Vietnamese herb that my wife just loves. Again, I forget the name of it, but I'll post it up. A couple kinds of thyme. This is a columbine plant. And then this one is fennel. It's a bronze fennel. Some are savory. And California Bay. We're constantly pulling leaves off of this one. If you've never cooked with fresh bay leaves all the time, it just makes so much of a difference. And then I think the other one of any interest is going to be this one. And this is lemon balm. And lemon balm, it dies back and we prune it back, and it'll grow out to a large bush, almost 10 feet tall from that. So when the sun comes back and it starts being warm again, we'll pull this one back out. So I hope you enjoyed the little tour that I took you on around my backyard. You know, I just want to show that even in the wintertime, here it is, it's January, and we still have a lot of stuff that we're getting out of our garden, and we're always working in our garden. There's always a project or always something going on. I have a whole nother bin of spinach that I have going in a separate container, and so we always have something going. The other thing that we're doing right now is we're doing our planning for what we're going to plant. I want to have a Scuppernong grape and plant that somewhere. And Luz wants a fig. So we're looking for a good spot for a fig. We have a peach tree that's dead in the front, or it's not really dead, but it hasn't really produced good fruit for the 2 years that we've been here. So we're looking to replace that as well. So we always have something going on here. So I'm glad I could show you around and you could see what's going on, and kind of get an idea of what it is that we're trying to do here at Casa de Chefs with myself and Chef Luz. So thanks for coming. Bye.